What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazik, aka Franchise Play, and I am here with another episode of Ask FP. I appreciate everybody who is going to join, who's going to watch at a later time, the whole nine. And I'm going to jump right into this. But before I get into the questions, y'all know that what I've been doing lately is before I jump into questions, I've been kind of saying my piece, so to speak, about whatever's going on that particular week or what have you. And one of the biggest things going on right now is the whole NBA 2K VC thing. I put a video out. I did a article on Forbes about it, but it seems as though we can't. I can't really get away from the subject. I've tried to a few different times, but people keep bringing it up. You know, it's one of them things. If you tweet about it one time, you already know you're going to get about 70 different responses. And you know what? I don't have a problem with the responses. But what does kind of get on my nerves is the people who come and they come real disrespectful because they don't know how to properly disagree. So that begins that's how you get blocked, basically. That's how you get blocked on social media. And I understand I'm not whoever, maybe you don't care if I block you, and that's fine. But we're not gonna continue to communicate essentially if we can't communicate respectfully. And that's kind of what I mean. And that doesn't mean you can't disagree with me. You can disagree with me all you want. But when you start name calling and you start saying, oh, you paid off by 2K or you paid off by EA, because people can't make up their mind which one I'm paid off by. So when I say something good about 2K, then I'm paid off by 2K. I say something good about Madden, then EA is paying me. So these folk don't know who's paying me. And I frankly don't know, because if they are paying me, I'm still waiting on my check, because they ain't gave me nothing yet. So the thing of it is I think what I think. And I'm going to stick to what I think, and I'm going to say what I think regardless. So whether or not this person or that person thinks it's popular or what have you, there's going to be things that I point out about games that people are not going to care about, that I'm going to say, oh, this is a big deal, I don't like it. There's going to be things that I say I like that people are going to be like, they don't like. How interested I am in creative player suite is probably of offline creative player at that. Is probably of no concern to a large percentage of people out there. You know what I mean? So when I start talking about that, or when I start saying that 2K really dropped the ball this year with their creation suite, all of y'all that's claiming that I'm paid off for not hearing none of that criticism. All you hear is that what I got to say about VC. And for anybody who missed essentially what I had to say about VC is, I understand that my career or the neighborhood and all that is very difficult it takes a lot of time for you to grind on the game and get to a place where you can upgrade your character. I totally understand. I get it. So I don't want anybody to think that I don't get that. I totally understand. I'm actually going to be playing my career. I had started off, I had the Legends Gold Edition and the whole nine, and my whole joint got wiped, which I've talked about how bogus that is and how there's no excuse for 2K losing people's my career saves and even getting it back for them. I mean, it's the best they can do at this point, but it's still, to me, not acceptable. That's a jacked up thing. I don't know how I can reflect that in a review that I have to put out at a certain time, or that I'm compelled to put out at a certain time. I don't know how I can reflect that in a score, because obviously that hasn't happened yet, and that's not the way the game is supposed to function. So I don't know how I can reflect that in my score, but that sucks, and there's no excuse for that. So you won't hear any kind of defense from me from that. That just sucks. And if I'm being totally honest, EA don't have those problems. If I'm just being totally honest with you, I have not heard of in any of EA's games, for the most part, with them having those types of issues with their online products. Never. I can't. Now, I could be wrong, but I can't recall that. But essentially, getting back to the whole run a neighborhood thing, I know it takes a lot to upgrade, and to, you don't get, your time spent grinding is not compensated the same as it is if you spend real money on VC. There's no secret, right? Some of the cost of some of the things like haircuts before they drop the price and all that, some of that, the VC that they were asking for some of that stuff is high, very high, right? I took my character, you know, usually my guy's bald just like me. So I took my guy into the barbershop, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a hair, I'm gonna add some hair. So it's the same as getting a haircut. So I think it was like 1100 VC. And I was like, okay, bruh ain't gonna get but one haircut. That's it. And that was it. And I decided I wasn't gonna get no more haircuts because I'm like, that's insane. I don't want to spend 1100 VC on this hair. Whether I'm grinding or not, I don't want to spend 1100 VC on hair. So that's all I said. That I backed off from it and I had decided I wasn't going to get any more haircuts. Same thing with all of the other stuff, right? My problem is people who are trying to say that 2K is wrong for having their system set up the way it is. I'm not spending any real money. This is just my personal philosophy, and I know this is not everybody else's. I'm not spending any real money to get some fake money that I can use on a fake character. I'm not doing that. Now, if that's what you want to do, hey, roll with them punches. Go ahead, do your thing, dog. I understand if you like the game, you like the game. And I give you another analogy. I'm not going to spend $500 on some Yeezys or $700 on some Yeezys or $1,500 on some big baller brand shoes. I'm not. Now, if you got the dough and you want to spend that on that shoe, go ahead and gear up, baby. Gear up. Get them together. Do what you want to do. I'm not going to hate on you for getting it. I'm not going to say that big baller brand ain't got no business charging me that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to get the shoe. And I'm going to be cool with that. People are acting like playing 2K and playing my career and upgrading their character is like a life or death situation. Like you just got to do this. And if you don't do this, you ain't going to be right. You going to go through a thing or something because you can't do it. Bruh, there's something in every industry that is priced out of our price range, whatever, or not even out of your price range. I'm not even, because I don't know what you got in your wallet. You know what you got. It might not be outside of your price range. It might just be more than you think is fair to spend. That's cool. You just don't have to spend it, right? But if there's other people who are willing to spend it, right? And they're willing to pay the cost that this company is set out. You got to make a decision. You can either pay the price for the haircut, or you can pay the price to buy the VC so that you can accelerate your character because it means so much to you to be able to compete online, because that's an important part of the game for you. You can either pay the cost or not and say, you know what, I already see that it's going to be real difficult for me to get a game in my career. I can't go to the park really and play because people see my rating, they don't really want to play. So it ends up being whatever. So then at that point you can say, hey, I'm not going to play my career. I'm going to play another mode. Forget it. I'm not even going to play it. Or if you that upset, you can be like, you know what? I'm not going to play the game, period. I'm done with 2K. They made me mad. This is this and this is this. And you can say, I'm done. I'm not playing no more. I'm boycotting that joint. I'm letting it be known I'm boycotting that joint. That's it. They can charge what they want to charge, but I'm not paying it. And if enough people say, you know what, dude is right, this is too high, I'm not going to pay it, then you know what happens? Then 2K begins to lose money. And they're like, you know what? It's a lot of people that's not buying VC no more. Man, there's a lot of people out here who are just saying they're not going to buy a game no more. And the reason why they're saying they're not going to do it is because of this VC. Then you know what? Now you have shifted the leverage in your favor. And now you are calling some shots, so to speak, as the consumer. That is your right as a consumer to say where you're going to spend your dollars. Okay. But here's the thing. What if you say that and you decide you're not going to play the game, and 2K still keep getting dope? $562.7 million Take-Two made last year during their last fiscal year off microtransactions. Now, all of that wasn't NBA 2K. Some of it was Grand Theft Auto. Some of it was, whatever. But they're making money hand over fist with microtransactions. So no matter how much this group of people says that it's overpriced and they don't want to pay it, there's a lot of people who are paying it. So now what are you going to do? What are you going? It's your choice. You do without the game, or you do without the mode, or you pay the price. It's no different than anything else, any other product in life. Some things are priced high, and if you want it, you got to pay it. If you don't want it, or if you don't feel like it's worth it, or you don't have the money to get it, you got to go without. And just because this is a video game and people are used to playing, or they got used to playing a video game in a certain way where things were free, or, oh, the game already cost $60, why should I have to pay more? The industry has changed. Being a gamer is more expensive now than it used to be. I remember the times when games didn't even cost $60 and every single thing was on the disc or on the cartridge or whatever. There was nothing extra to buy. There was nothing extra to get. You got everything that was there from just buying, from that initial investment. But that's not the way it is anymore. The gaming industry, the games are better. That is true. The games are better now than they were before. I remember back in the day, if there was a glitch, then that joint was just glitched because there was no patches, there was no anything like that that could happen. Your game, like there, I mean, Double Dribble. I'm going back. Double Dribble had it where if you went to the left, there were way more 3-point spots all over the court where you could make shots, and if you went the other direction on this side, you couldn't. You could make some shots, but you couldn't make them in as many areas. Can you imagine what it would be like if 2K had it like that, where they had certain spots on the floor on this side of the floor where you could make more shots than you could on this side? That was the way Double Dribble was when it came out, and that was the way it was, period, because there were no patches, there were no fixes, there were nothing. There was another game I used to play. I think it was Sega Sports NBA Basketball. I loved it. It was one of the first games to keep up with stats and allowed you to do a real nice franchise mode, right? One of the first. Well, the game ran on a watch battery, right? And so if you did a fantasy draft, because they allowed you to do a fantasy draft, but if you did a fantasy draft, the game would completely reset all your data immediately after your first game, or as soon as you turn again. It was supposed to save it, but it would reset everything. I remember this was back in the day when you could go and get the instruction manual, go to the back of the instruction manual and literally call a number in the instruction manual and get to talk to a developer. Back in the day, you could do that. I get on the phone and I'm calling them. I say, hey, this is the such thing is happening. And they say, oh, yeah, that's a known problem. There's nothing we can do about it. Imagine if it was a known problem right now today with 2K or Madden or Pro Evolution Soccer, FIFA, whatever, where they told you, yeah, if you do a fantasy draft, you automatically going to lose data. It's just a pop. You just popped. It's not like that anymore. Things have changed. There's patches, there's updates, there's all that. I'm not saying that completely justifies the increased price, but I'm just saying the industry has changed. To be a gamer today costs more than it used to. That's including microtransactions. That's including DLC. That's including everything. People say, well, why couldn't you just put it all on the disc? It's my product. It's their product. They created it. If you had something that you created, could somebody else tell you how much it was worth? I mean, they can, because they can choose to not buy it, which is my whole point. But if you create something, you get to say how much it cost, because you know how much it costs you to make it. So you get to decide, hey, it cost me $5 to make this. I would like to make my money 10 times over, so I'm going to sell it for 50. If enough people think that the $50 price tag is worth it, then you're good. If people say, I ain't paying no $50 for that, If it was 25, then maybe. Then you know what? You got to change your price to 25. This is really no different, man. If enough people say, you know what, I am not buying any VC, or I'm not buying that much VC, or I'm not whatever. I don't believe in VC. The whole virtual currency thing is crazy. All the game should be is grind, grind, grind to get your points and to upgrade. That's the way it used to be back in the day. That's the way it should be today. If people say that and start putting their money where their mouth is, or taking their money away, then it'll change. But the problem that people don't feel, that some people are not understanding, is everybody clearly don't feel the way you feel. Because if they did, you wouldn't have $562 million being spent on microtransactions. You wouldn't. So you can be mad all you want. You can send me nasty tweets all you want and claim I'm paid off by 2K, but I ain't paid off by nobody. I'm just giving you the real. I'm just giving you the real. And I'm not saying that some of you guys complaining is not going to change something with 2K, because I'm not going to say that, because 2K already lowered the cost for hairstyles, and that I'm sure had something to do with somebody complaining. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't say anything about it, or you shouldn't try to leverage, but to say that it's wrong, that 2K is wrong, I think is off base. I think this is business. And in business, there is no right or wrong. There's just leverage. If I got something that you desire, my job as the creator of the product is to find out how much you're willing to pay for it. That's my job. Your job as a consumer is to try to get the product or the service or what have you for as least amount as possible. How do you do that? By not buying it at its current rate, which forces the producer of the product to bring the cost down or to take it away altogether. It's just that simple, man. It's really just that simple. But if you don't feel like I feel, that's fine. But if we talking on Twitter and you say something to me about, you know, calling names and all that, or saying, oh, this reads like a paid response, some goof said on Twitter, you really treading on some getting blocked ground. And like I said, I'm not trying to say if I block you, then you ain't gonna wake up in the morning or none. I ain't saying none of that. I'm just saying I don't want to talk to you no more because you don't know how to conduct yourself. That's all I'm saying. So that's all I got on that. But let's go ahead and jump into these questions, which some of those are not all that related. Oh, let's talk about that trade though real quick, because I didn't get no questions about the trade. Man, I'm gonna tell you, Oklahoma City. I'm gonna do a video later on this, probably sometime this week. It's gonna be about my 10 things I wish or hope for, or something to that effect. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna name it, but 10 things I wish or hope for in the upcoming NBA season. I'm gonna give y'all a preview of one. One of them is I'm rooting for Oklahoma City to do well. And you know what? It don't really have anything to do with Russell Westbrook, Paul George, or Melo. I don't really have nothing against neither one of those guys. I'm not as big of a Westbrook fan as a lot of people, but I don't have anything against either of those guys, right? But this is about the front office. That front office, man, they conduct themselves the way every single fan should want the team that they root for to conduct themselves. These guys go out and get the best talent that they can get in their particular situation. I mean, we coming off a season where Russell Westbrook was literally trying to do it all and guided his team to the playoffs with very little scoring besides him. And I could make the argument that some of the reason why they had so much little scoring is because he wouldn't get pass the ball as much as he should, even though a lot of people say, how could he not pass the ball with all those assists? I can get into that whole joint easy. The usage rate was through the roof. And if you see the way Russell Westbrook passes the ball, when you watch him play the game, you'll see that the majority, he doesn't run the offense. He attacks the basket. And when he gets doubled and tripled, he cough it up. Well, that might get somebody some easy buckets, but it's not getting them involved in the offense. It's not running the offense that gets other guys liberated and able to take some of the load off of him, that he doesn't have to always create it. But that's a whole nother show. But it doesn't have anything to do. My appreciation for the Thunder doesn't have anything to do with those three guys. I mean, you coming off the season that OKC's coming off of, it really don't look all that promising. But these guys turned what seemed like little assets into a legit big three with a starting five that I think man for man can compete with Golden State. I mean, they have some real some matchup problems, I think, for Golden State. If you just break it down, okay, Steven Adams, or what, whoever Golden State decides to start at center, whether it's JaVale McGee, whatever, that's a good matchup, right? So then on defense, Kevin Durant, I would think that Kevin Durant probably has to guard Paul George. Okay. Draymond Green is probably guarding Melo. You still probably want Klay Thompson on Russell Westbrook because you want to hide. You don't want Steph on Russ. Everybody else, you don't want Steph on Russ. But now Steph has to guard Oladipo, right? I mean, no, wait a minute. Did we get it mixed up? We got it mixed up because no, we don't have to. He doesn't have to guard Oladipo because Oladipo got sent over to Indiana for the Paul George thing. But Steph ends up on Andre Roberson. I guess that's where you want him. I just still feel that from a matchup standpoint, man, OKC is right there, and in the starting five, they're right there. The bench is going to be there. That's where the problems could come in. But what they have created out of what they had when the season ended, man, I'm impressed with their commitment. I thought it was outstanding. And I know we're not talking about 2011 Melo, but Melo can still put the ball in the basket. Melo is still a capable rebounder. The key for Oklahoma City is going to be, can they get Melo's buy-in to defend at a high level? Now, nobody's asking him to be Draymond Green, but can we get a buy-in for him to defend at a high level? If they can get that, man, they're going to be tough. They are going to be tough. But let's jump into these questions, man. We got the first one coming from Ramerson Oliveira. I think he is a newcomer to Ask FP, and I appreciate you. And he says, are the Sonics and Thunders separated on Ultimate Roster 4? Ultimate Legends Roster 4, which I am definitely doing. They are not going to be separated because I have not separated any of those teams. Like that would be like separating the Cincinnati Royals from the Sacramento Kings, or even like the Minneapolis Lakers from the Los Angeles Lakers. I haven't ever done that. I think it actually is kind of a hassle because if you think about it, when you set up I guess you could do it. You could do it because you could run a My League where you had like 31 teams or something like that. But I don't want to get into that. I just rather I maybe if I was from Seattle and mad, like a lot of Sonics fans are, I would, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm going to keep it the way I've done it for the previous 3 years, and they will be together. The next question also comes from Ramerson Oliveira. He says, will the Ultimate Legends Roster 4 complete only the all-time teams or the classic teams as well? I am not sure I understand what that means. Oh, I think, yeah, it's gonna complete only the all-time teams. I'm not gonna complete the classic teams. I think you're talking about filling in missing players, like putting Boozer on the 2010-11 Bulls and Rasheed Wallace on the Pistons. Nah, because I guess you kind of could do that because I'm gonna create Boozer for the all-time Jazz and gonna create Rasheed Wallace for the all-time Pistons. Actually, not for the all-time Blazers. I'm sorry, not for the Pistons. But now I'm not going to add them to the roster. I haven't done that in the past. Perhaps that's a separate project. but I'm going to focus on getting this one wrapped up. There are some new some changes to some of the Ultimate Legends roster teams. Like Jimmy Butler's going to be on the Bulls this year. I didn't have him on there last year because he hadn't qualified with my FPVR formula. Draymond Green's going to be there. So a couple other Tristan Thompsons with the Cavs. So yeah, but those are the changes that I see coming this year. Next question comes from Marshall Hastings. He says, any idea when NBA 2K will update the cap system? I don't know exactly. I know that first and foremost on their list is definitely these issues with the My Career and that sort of thing. So that I know is like number one for them. So I don't think that yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen anytime. I honestly don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon. We might be looking at like the end of October for that to happen. So we'll see. Hopefully it's worth the wait. Next question comes from, who is it? Oh, this is from Ramerson Oliveira as well. He says, can you put Oscar Schmidt on the Ultimate Legends roster as a free agent? Probably the best two guard never to play in the NBA. He would have been on the all-time Nets. Oscar Schmidt is a Brazilian shooting guard. He was a really, really good scorer. If you look at his international competition, his numbers against the United States when they played in international play, he definitely showed he could score against the big boys. Just never played in the NBA. I feel what you're saying, but I don't know. I'd have to come up with some other thing as well for free agents to add. Besides just Oscar Schmidt, wouldn't want to just say, oh, we got all 30 all-time teams and Oscar Schmidt. I need probably to have a little bit more to make it whatever, but I won't rule that completely out. Next question comes from Gabriel Padilla Hunt. He says, since you're from Chicago, what is wrong with the Bulls? I've heard a lot about guard packs being the problem. I definitely think guard packs are the problem. I am very happy to see Doug Collins get hired as a senior advisor. I think he improves the overall reputation of the organization. I think he's someone who is liked and respected in the NBA by not just coaches but also players. That's something that the Bulls organization desperately needs. I think there's a large degree of distrust for the Chicago Bulls organization. And I think that's something that needs to change. I actually have hopes that maybe, Jerry Reinsdorf will some point say he's going to cut his ties with Gar and Pax, and perhaps Doug Collins steps in and becomes the general manager sometime down the line. I don't know. But yes, I do think Gar and Pax's their handling of the head coaching position has been problematic, and they also haven't drafted all that well, which I've said this on more than one occasion. The Bulls' key to success has always been through the draft. For whatever reason, we've never done well signing major free agents. It's just never happened. We get second tier guys, but we very rarely get the guy that everybody wants. And every time the Bulls have ever been good, really good. So we're talking about early Derrick Rose. We're talking about the Michael Jordan years. The core has always come from the draft, almost every single time. Michael Jordan was a draft pick. Scottie Pippen was traded for on draft day, so he was just like a draft pick. Horace Grant was a draft pick. B.J. Armstrong was a draft pick. Tony Kukoc. Dennis Rodman wasn't a draft pick, but he was an add-in. Derrick Rose was a draft pick. Joakim Noah was a draft pick. Luol Deng was a draft pick. Jimmy Butler was a draft pick. All of those guys came through the draft. Now, Carlos Boozer wasn't a draft pick, but he was an add-in as well. But you get my drift. This is the way it generally goes for the Bulls. The core has to come from the draft. This is not a team or an organization, for whatever reason, that can depend on free agency. It has never worked for us. All right, the next question comes from Long. He says, do you think whenever 2K does a creative player system patch that we'll possibly be able to get tats or no? I would say that is an or no, Long. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that has to be a development cycle initiative and not a patch. I think that's that big of a deal that they would have to do that. I want to think there's got to be some question or some concern about legality. I can't understand why else that would not be in the game. But I really want to talk to some people at 2K to try to express to them that there are a lot of people who really want certain things added to offline creative player that are not there. And I haven't been able to do that as of yet, but I really would like to do that because I think it would be cool. And I think it's some stuff that can be done, but someone needs to, pull their coattail and say, hey, this part of your game we actually like. So can you do something with it? Kind of a thing. Next question comes from Jared Young. He says, who would you rather have out of the two Duke small forwards, Brandon Ingram or Jason Tatum? Honestly, I would rather have Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum's tougher mentally. I think he's more confident. And I think Brandon Ingram probably has a higher ceiling because of the length and the athleticism. But I don't know, something about Jason Tatum is like that. He's that dog. And I think he's going to be a really good player. I'm not saying Brandon Ingram won't, but I don't know. For me, I like Jason Tatum. Next question is also from Jared Young. He says, any bold predictions for the upcoming NBA season? My bold prediction, and this might not be that bold to other people, but if Derrick Rose does not get hurt, I think he wins the sixth man. And obviously, that is dependent upon how soon Isaiah Thomas can come back. Because if Isaiah Thomas can't come back soon, then Derrick Rose is going to be starting. So that's going to kill, obviously, the six-man role. But I do believe Derrick Rose has a really good season alongside the best player in the world, LeBron James. And I think the Cleveland Cavaliers have a decent chance to win the NBA championship. I really do. Isaiah Thomas is healthy. Derrick Rose is coming off the bench. I think Cleveland did a lot to boost their bench. And I think they are really ready, if they're not hurt and not banged up, to push Golden State in the finals. I believe that. So, but the Rose prediction is my bold one for this upcoming season. And I don't know how bold people think that is, but that's what I got. Next question also comes from Jerry Young. This is actually the last question. He says, do you have the Dallas Cowboys making the playoffs? I absolutely do have the Dallas Cowboys making the playoffs, man. I'm going to tell you, they've gotten off to a little bit of a rough start for sure, a letdown after week 1. But that offensive line is still nasty. I believe in Dak Prescott's leadership. And actually, I think the defense played pretty well in week 1, and I like what they've done to improve their pass rush as well. So I like Dallas. Dallas is one of those teams that the whole country seems to live and die with what they do from a week-to-week standpoint. After week 1, nobody was talking anything crazy. After week 2, you get beat, you get embarrassed, and now people are somewhat panicking, but or looking to just throttle them because they hate Dallas. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys are like truly the New York Yankees of professional football. I mean, people just I don't know why they are. I mean, yes, they were playing the Denver Broncos, absolutely, and they got destroyed. But Dallas, I still think it's just one game. They are still a playoff team. With this week, they have the Cardinals, who have not looked great this season up to now. Let's see, Arizona is where is Arizona? Arizona's 1-1 themselves. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I like Dallas to win that game and to get everybody off their back a little bit. So that is what I got for you guys today. I do appreciate you watching as always. God bless you and peace.